It is the season of AI shiny objects, so I decided to check out what this ZeroClaw is all about on my mission to explore the best Claw autonomous frameworks. In this video, I'll be walking you through the technical differences between ZeroClaw and OpenClaw in a non-technical way for non-technical people, and then I will install ZeroClaw, use it for a bit, and give you my honest feedback. By the end, you should have an idea if ZeroClaw is worth the time for you to even bother playing around with or not. So let's dive in.
Battle of the Agents, OpenClaw versus ZeroClaw.
Let's meet the contenders. Our incumbent, OpenClaw, created in November 2025 by Peter Steinberger, written in TypeScript, Node.js, 430,000 lines of code, 236,000 stars on GitHub, and it needs 2 gigs of RAM minimum. Not to mention, it's recommended like 8 gigs of RAM. So it needs a lot of RAM. It's big. Key feature, Heartbeat and Claw Hub for all the skills, which is also a danger to the ecosystem, but hey, who cares? It's a key feature. Okay, and then on the other side of the ring, we've got the challenger, ZeroClaw. Fast, small, and fully autonomous AI-assisted infrastructure. Deploy anywhere, swap anything. 20.5 thousand stars on GitHub. 0 overhead, 0 compromise. ZeroClaw. This is like 2 weeks old. This is brand new, written in Rust, 20,000 stars, only needs a few megabytes of RAM. Literally, what is that, a thousandth of the amount? I've never been good at math, but 2 gigs of RAM versus 6 to 8 megabytes feels like a lot of megabytes in between. This is ZeroClaw. Ladies and gentlemen, run this on $10 hardware. People are really into this, and there's a reason why. So let's talk about the big differences. OpenClaw is TypeScript. ZeroClaw is Rust. OpenClaw is a Node.js process. ZeroClaw is a static binary. What the hell does that mean? I didn't know either, so I Googled it. Node.js is a runtime environment, so it's like happening all the time. It's not self-contained, and it's dependent on the host system's environment, so it's like a parasite. But a static binary is a fully self-contained executable, so it just does it. It has the runtime built in. But what that really means, I think, is that Node.js needs more RAM because it's like constantly going. OpenClaw uses markdown files. ZeroClaw uses a database. ZeroClaw doesn't have a great browser, though. And OpenClaw uses Playwright, and you can obviously add skills and stuff like CamelFox. Okay, so before I get too far ahead of myself, let's install ZeroClaw. What I like to do is just copy the URL. And because I'm just experimenting, I'm going to tell one of my OpenClaw instances to install ZeroClaw into a container. What's the best way to go about this? And I'll paste that there. Now, a few months ago, I would never dreamed of trying to one-shot that into a bot, but I've got Claude Code running OpenClaw, like Opus 4.6, and it's absolutely crazy. It'll just do it. So I have this on a pretty powerful machine, and then I tell OpenClaw to mess around with these other frameworks so I can make videos about them and see if I like them to add them onto my team. Sometimes this goes smoothly, sometimes it takes a while to debug. Okay, so then OpenClaw comes and tells me, hey, everything's ready to go for Docker. I'm just curious, is that going to be the safest, right? Say I do want to keep it rolling. ZeroClaw is supposed to be super secure by design with strict sandboxing. So I'm going to assume here that running it in Docker is going to be okay. But you can let me know in the comments what you think, because you probably know more than me. We'll just ask which is more secure. Okay, great. So it suggests build from source, option 2. So I'll just say yes. Do it. And there we go. I have OpenClaw installing the new agent. Now, while that's happening, I want to just show you, here on the GitHub repo, we can see benchmark comparisons. And this is interesting to me. OpenClaw uses, this just has more than 1 gigabyte. What we saw earlier, yeah, the minimum, the absolute minimum is 1 gigabyte of RAM. It recommends 4 gigabytes of RAM. I've got 8 going, and I'm pretty comfortable with it on my Raspberry Pi. But anyway, these comparisons, it's just assuming, you're at 1 gigabyte here. Nanobot, which I reviewed in another video, needs 100. PicoClaw needs what? Less than 10? And ZeroClaw needs less than 5. So that's a really interesting race to the bottom there, in a manner of speaking. And when you compare that to the machine you need to go with it, it's saying, yeah, get a Mac Mini for OpenClaw. That's not true, because I got 8 gigs of RAM on a $100 Raspberry Pi 5. Nanobot, I don't even know what that is. Single board computer. Single board computer. Okay. One of those types of things. Yeah, Raspberry Pi Zero, I guess. Okay. So I'm wondering, what are people running ZeroClaw on? Oh, and there's a nice little image. So this is a little misleading because you don't need a $600 Mac Mini. But that's what the marketing campaign, that's what the viral marketing was saying, which is interesting, right? So ZeroClaw small hardware. Okay, so it's saying, all right, a little as $10, under 5 megabytes of RAM. How do I just freaking find a 5 megabyte ARM for sale? I don't even know what that means. ARM computer motherboards for sale. Okay. SBC ARM, let's say what? 8 megabyte RAM. Okay, Raspberry Pi. That's Wi-Fi. That's all crazy. I don't even know how to search for something like this. What is this stuff called? Okay, 512 megabyte RAM. 8 meg... that must be a collector's item. Alright, this could be something. The BeagleBoard BeagleBone C3 open hardware computer for makers from kindergarten to Kickstarter. Yeah, so this $29. Alright, so that's $30. Yeah, so I guess this is what they're saying is you can get one of these tiny computers, even smaller than Raspberry Pi, and you can easily run ZeroClaw. So that's the point here. Let's check back in with, okay, it's still going. So this is taking forever. So one thing to note here is that OpenClaw even told me, but we're compiling the binary ourselves, which means that source code that we got from the GitHub repo is compiling into the binary right now. And I believe that's why this is taking so long. Okay, so it finished up. It didn't freeze. Like, it took forever, but it worked. Everything is groovy. And by the way, OpenClaw is also running in a Colima container. So everything is just running in containers there on that computer. So let's say we want to use Venice API, OpenAI compatible. Now, a lot of these agents don't necessarily support Venice right out the gate, but it's OpenAI compatible and it's really easy to just say, hey, like fix the code a little bit. So once again, this is why I do all my installing with an agent, either OpenCode or OpenClaw here. Great. So now all it needs is my API key. So I'm going to go ahead and get that off screen. Okay, everyone. I got ZeroClaw running up on Telegram. I had some technical difficulties. The microphone wasn't on when I was doing all this live. But anyway, ZeroClaw is running. Here in Telegram, I'm running Claude Sonnet 4.6 via Venice. Everything is smooth, and it's really fast. If I just say, I don't know, summarize what an LLM is, it sends a fun little emoji back, and it's pretty fast. The LLMs still take their time to respond, but the actual Claw is very noticeably faster for me than OpenClaw. But let's talk about some other things that I kind of don't like. So if I go all the way back up here at the very beginning of my conversation, I said, hey, what can you do? I did the /help command, and it showed me the files and code. It can do task management, schedule jobs. It has memory and processes. So I said, okay, install these skills. And I had to go to the documentation here to figure out how to do it. I have no idea but what WASM is. Nor do I think I should need to have an idea. And where this is going, everyone, I'll just spoil it now. ZeroClaw is made for developers, engineers, like people that are even more nerdy than me. And I don't say that as an insult. I just mean like, I don't want to have to do all of this to do skills. Like it was really frustrating. I couldn't get all these marketing skills from Corey Haynes. I love this repo, by the way. I couldn't get these marketing skills installed right away. I went through a ton of bullshit to get the approval required to even just get, to get a zip that never worked, but even just to get a markdown file read. It was really annoying. And then I finally figured out that I could just paste the skill directly This didn't work at first when I just shared the MD file. I eventually was able to just upload a Venice skill without the zip, without the folders. And it didn't even know that I wanted this to be a skill. What are you doing with Venice? You want to make images or videos? And so at that point, I just kind of like gave up for yesterday. All right. So my conclusion here is, yes, I've only messed around with it for an hour or two. I think this is an engineer's project. I think ZeroClaw is really made for people that are like, hey, OpenClaw is cool, but it's just not efficient, and it can be better, and it can use less RAM. And like, yeah, great. All of that is cool. But I'm cool with using more RAM. I would rather be able to upload a zip file of a skill and just have it install it. And OpenClaw does that. No problem. So as a like solopreneur creator type, I'm not too impressed with ZeroClaw. I like that it's a bit faster, but other than that, like, I don't personally have a use case for this that makes me be like, oh my gosh, I have to use ZeroClaw instead of OpenClaw. So that is my abrupt conclusion here. Cool project. I mean, find one of these cool things and maybe it'll be like a cool project, you know, for a teenager or something too. But at the end of the day, if we go back here, like, it doesn't do self-improvement on its own. I don't even know I didn't even bother trying with the proactiveness, like OpenClaw's Heartbeat and doing cron job webhook stuff. I didn't even bother with that. I just don't see the point, to be honest. If we go into the more technical aspects of this, then maybe you see the point if these things are important to you. For me, aside from the security perhaps and the file system protection, maybe because ideally you're running these on like their own machines and stuff, like the actual user experience of ZeroClaw doesn't seem to really compare. And so, yes, I completely see why we need a more hardened version of OpenClaw. But is ZeroClaw the answer to that? I'm not sure. It remains to be determined. It's a brand new project, so I guess we'll find out soon. Thank you for watching. If you want to keep exploring the claws and other autonomous agent frameworks with me, hit that subscribe button because I like to explore that stuff on this channel. Check out the AI Captain School if you're interested in more long-term, deep, complex work. And yeah, that's it for now. I'll see you in another video.
And the winner is OpenClaw!